Oh, hello, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's noon. It's noon. It's Monday Jumpstart. Yay! I'm so excited to have Monday Jumpstart back. Sure have missed Mondays at noon with everyone. Glynis and Dawn Marie are with me today.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Glynis is going to be reading chat, so she's on audio only. And it looks like everybody's waiting for storms today. So, wow. Hey, Margie. So glad to have you here. Yes, Mondays just haven't been the same without Monday Jumpstart.
Oh, JK just came in.
Awesome.
And
Let's
Jen
scroll
did
down
too.
here.
Yeah.
Hi, Sandy. Hello, hello. Good to see you. KK. Hi, good to see you. Hi, Jen. I'm going to assume it's Jen. If it's Katie, Katie usually comes in on her own. So, on her own YouTube. So if it is Katie, you'll have to tell us, but I'm going to assume that it's Jen. Twisted neurographic art sounds kinky. Yeah, not twisted, just a twist on. So last year sometime, we did a workshop on neurographic art. And I did put the link in the description box. And it's Jen then working listening while she works. I put the link in the description box in case you haven't seen it or don't remember it. The workshop on neurographic art. And I have a couple of twists on neurographic art that I thought would be fun to do. Actually have 3 or 4 of them. But thought today we would maybe do a couple of twists on neurographic art and then show you how to do a Huggins Zentangle. That's what this is. It's called a Huggins. It's a type of Zentangle. There are all kinds of Zentangles. And you may look at that and go, holy cow, I could never draw that. That's what I said. And it is not true. Everybody could do this one. Even a school child could do this one when somebody walks you through it step by step. And that's what we're going to do. So this is basically roughly a 2 by 2 inch piece of paper. The cardstock will work just fine. If you want to get that ready, I've got another one here for when we do that one.
I'll do it larger on my big piece.
Okay.
When we do it.
That's going to be pretty large, but it'll be cool. All of these things you can do in any size. I decided to do the twists on neurographic art a little smaller than I did previously so that we could get through more than one. And here's what, let me show you up close. They're just a little bit different, and you can make them as large or as small or as detailed as you want, and of course any colors that you want. I threw these two together real fast so I'd have a have a sample, because it's always easier if you know the end goal there. And this one I didn't even get time to finish coloring, but I will do that. I can do that. So we'll do both of those, and then we'll do the Huggins. So sounds like whistle while you work. Yeah, listen while you work. Whistle while you work. What do you want to start with, DM?
I don't care.
I'm going to flip these over and just do it. Oh, that one's going to show through.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not. I'll grab another one. I'll grab another one. This is just drawing paper. It's not watercolor paper. You could use watercolor paper. It's just drawing paper. So thick, heavy cardstock would work just fine. Anything that's not coated in plastic or,
And you actually can draw the square in the middle of a bigger
You can. You absolutely can. I thought about taking one large piece and just dividing it into 4 sections to do 4 different things. And then I thought, I'll just make smaller pieces. So let me just take this off here. So the neurographic art was fun, and it actually is very relaxing. I'll tell you as we do these that some of the things that I like or don't like, and even about the neurographic art. And, a lot of times it's to slow the brain down and just get rid of all the, crap in your brain and get you to a good place and get you to a zen place. And sometimes that's hard for me to do. Like these little lines in here, or curves, C curves. I want them to be C curves, but I end up making lines, and that redundant, repetitive motion drives my brain crazy, especially if I'm at all wound up and I'm trying to relax, and I end up going really fast to get through them, and then they end up all a mess like this one is. So I know that if I'm really wound up and need to relax, that's maybe not the best one for me to do. I do like this one a lot for that, though, and it looks really cool when they're all colored in. So let's do this one first. I don't know that it has a name, just a twist on a neurographic art. But okay, so we're going to take our piece of paper, and whatever size you want, doesn't matter. I'm going to not ruin that piece of paper because I know that I'll likely go over the edge somewhere. I always do. And we are going to, for this one, we're going to use a pencil, just a regular pencil, to draw, like we did with the neurographic art, but we did it with marker. We're going to draw just any type of design shape there. I'm going to take that off the page. I'm going to bring this one around and get something over here and take it off the page. Okay. So you don't want a lot of teeny tiny spaces. More larger spaces are okay. Probably a little bit better, but just do that with pencil.
If I can mention something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you like it real abstract, what I prefer to do on these is I always use my left hand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When I draw the lines, like these kind of lines, I try to do them. There seems to be a natural way. You put your hand down, it always wants to do it like this way or this way, whatever it is. I try to do it the opposite way to get even my writing hand used to doing something the opposite way from what it is natural. So that's a really good point. And yeah, you do get something a little more abstract when you when you use your left hand or your right hand, whatever your non-dominant hand that would be. Okay, so now we are going to take a marker, and I think I can probably do it with a, let's see, is this one thick enough? This one might be thick enough. I want you to be able to see it pretty well. And we're going to go inside of the shapes, wherever they are, and we're going to just draw. And this is not anything that is, again, it's just, what is the word? It's Monday. I'm so out of touch with Monday Jumpstart. It is just filling that space with a shape. Okay, inside of your pencil line, just fill that space with a shape. And it doesn't have to be exactly where the lines are. You'll see when we have a big shape like here, I'll fill part of it with that. And then I'll take a second shape to fill some of it. And they might be, they might have rounded edges. They might have flat or pointed edges and corners. That is totally up to you. So this kind of looks like triangle to me. So I'm going to fill that in. And, ooh, I see kind of a, let's do this. That'll work. I like that rounded part over there. So all we're doing is making shapes within our pencil lines. Any shapes will do. And if you have little tiny ones like these two right here, just leave those for now. Actually, if they're little tiny like that, you can just outline them and color them in with your black. Color them in with your black. Those are two separate, so I'm going to try to leave them separate. This one looks a lot like a circle to me. kind of sort of a circle. All right, I'm going to come over here. This one is really small, so I'm going to color it in with black. Just as well do it now instead of later. I used to do this when I was a kid. What's funny is all these things that now have these official names and that they're actually using for a therapy, you know, all kinds of therapy are things that we used to do as kids when we were just
playing around
and doodling because
I was going to say bored.
I don't like the word bored because I never understand someone being bored, especially children. As a kid, there were so many things that I was curious about and interested in and wanted to do. Even now, we have so many supplies and so many things that we want to do. How could I ever have time to be bored when there's so many things to try and do and play and, that kind of thing. So I don't know. So I don't like the word bored so much, but a lot of times we just felt like sitting around and doodling. And so we just called them different kinds of doodles. But now they all have different names and they've realized how therapeutic they are for your brain. You can make them have shapes on a side, like, it doesn't have to be flat or straight. Oops, accidentally went outside the line. That's okay. Just going to make that a thicker line. Just ran in the door. So yeah, my hand isn't very calm right now because just took Doug to get a CT this morning. There is still a hole in his intestine that is not closed up. So he did not get the drain out today. Of course, he's not thrilled about that, but I mean, he doesn't want it to come out before it should, but he was really hoping that it would be closed up by today. But that's okay. It'll heal as it should. All right, so we just about have all of our spaces filled with shapes. And let's see, I've got a great big one over here. So I've got a nice triangle over here. And what have I got down here? Comes to a very point. Okay, so there's all my spaces inside of the pencil marks. And then you can go outside the pencil marks here and fill in these places. Some of them have just nice natural shaped spaces. And if it's a great big space, again, just cut it into multiple things. This one's a super easy one, and it doesn't take too long. And it is pretty relaxing. Sometimes don't you just want I totally get kids wanting to take markers and crayons and scribble on the wall. I do get that. And sometimes don't you want to just grab markers and just play, write, scribble, whatever. But, if there's not something specific to do, what do? You doodle. And this is the kind of thing that's perfect for that. Takes care of that itch to just scribble on the wall. I would never have dared do that. My life.
No, I wouldn't have either.
But I totally understand.
I had a giant chalkboard, so
Oh,
at
that's
least
so
I was
cool.
able to. It was a
Right
real
on
piece
that.
of slate that came from, that came
Oh,
from the quarry up in Monson, Maine,
yeah,
that had been in one of the old schools.
that is so neat.
We got it at the dump, just like most of the stuff that
Wow,
yeah.
that's a find.
Well, Saturday was dump day for my father and I, and we would spend about an hour there picking through, finding stuff that people had thrown away.
Wow. Actually, I mean, for what we do where everything is upcyclable, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I started upcycling,
When you were a
recycling a
child.
lot earlier.
When you were
It
a
was cool.
child,
Mhm.
just a wee child, you learned to upcycle. That's awesome. You can thank your dad for all your art
Yes.
influences now.
He was my
Okay,
art influence.
so there I've got inside my pencil lines, and I went ahead and did the outside as well. So now you take an eraser, got my big old eraser here, and you erase all the pencil lines. So all we have is the marker.
My granddaughter's autistic, and she thinks coloring on the wall is just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think it takes autistic to think that until you get beat once and then
Yeah.
it's no longer fine.
We make sure she has washable markers.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
She just loves it.
Or you cover the wall up to her reach in paper, butcher
Yeah,
paper.
we've done that too
Yeah.
with her. Yeah.
That's cool. Did my chat freeze, or is there no new?
I haven't seen anything
Okay.
since then.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure mine didn't freeze.
No, I refreshed it, mine and everything, and
Okay.
Everybody's being quiet.
Yeah, it's
working.
Monday. Of course, I wrinkled my paper. I always do. Who's doing this along with us?
Me.
Awesome.
That might be why people aren't commenting though, because it's
Yeah.
hard
Well, hopefully.
with a pen in your
It's
hand.
hard to type and do this.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Hopefully, everybody is, and it's a good, relaxing, meditative, Zen thing. Okay, I think I've got all my pencil marks out. All right. So now we take your black marker, and that one was not too thick, so I could use that one still. And we're going to go back inside these, and we're just going to draw lines to make sections that we can color in like that. So you can do them any direction that you want. So I'm going to look at, in fact, I might take a triangle and I might start from the top and go like this all the way around it. And so it makes kind of design at the same time as it's making sections. My biggest problem with any of these things is I do it when I need to relax or slow down, and when my brain is going a million miles an hour, it's hard to slow down, and so I start going too fast, and then I'm out of the lines and here and there and everywhere, and then I'm frustrated because see, like that, I'm already over the line. But it's okay because it'll get covered, and I can always make this line thicker and cover that, so not a big deal. Okay, so we're going to turn all of these into lines that can be sections that can be colored. And we'll see how many of these we can get through today. I've got a couple more than those I showed you. We'll see if we have time. If we have time, we'll do a couple more. And then when you color them, these aren't too bad to color with kind of a thin point or fine point because they're small sections, but they do go faster if you have a little thicker point or even colored pencil.
You can also do them in watercolors, and you could do watercolor first and then do this over it.
Yes, you could do the watercolor. Yeah, that's a good idea. Do watercolor before you put these marks in, and then go put the marks in the sections, and it will create the design immediately. Okay. Oh, let's see. My brain wants to get right to color, and so this part's taken long.
I find looking at the one you have right above you is helping me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll put it right there. Yeah, if you've never done it before, Then you just look at a shape and say, where do I see lines happening in that shape? Do I want them to follow, you know, like one side, this side is curved. Do I want my lines to follow this side? And sometimes I almost forget to make the sections big enough to color. You know, leave them big enough that you can see color in between them. You can do them as close together or as far apart as you want. They do not need to be close together by any means. So this one I'm going to do a little bit farther apart. Okay. And so I usually don't do them going the same direction side by side. So I should have done the big one first to see how I want to do that one, but that's okay. It'll all work. Let's see. We'll do this one this direction.
Joni Miller's on now. And Sylvia's
Hey,
on.
Tony. So good to see you. I know you've had a lot going on in your life. Hopefully you can grab some pens and sit down and relax for just a bit today with us. Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Cheryl. Being out of line is me. Yes. Yeah. Cheryl, you were at the last year we did a workshop on neurographic art. You were at that one, weren't you? I think you were. I want to say that you were. If not, I put the link, and we talked a lot about neurographic art in that one. So I put the link in the description box for anybody who doesn't remember it or wasn't there about neurographic art. And so today I've got a couple of twists on neurographic art. They are similar to Zentangle. The whole neurographic art is similar to Zentangle, but Zentangle is always usually, I think, just black and white, you know, making all the marks and not taking the time to color in. I do have a Tangle, though, that I would like to teach you. I know a lot of people say Zentangle looks cool, but either I don't have the patience for it, or I can't think of what to do. I don't know how to do it. And I want to show you how to do Huggins because it's one of those that I think looks really cool. Everybody likes the way it looks in the end, and everybody says, oh my goodness, I could never draw that. But everybody can draw it if you are walked through it step by step, and so you know how to do it. And once we walk through it, you'd be able to do it again over and over, and it is really cool. So this one, I think I'm going to make squares, or I guess they're kind of, well, they're triangular squares inside the triangular square. So I would just color those sections, and I'm going to do the same on this one. And the lines on these don't need to be straight. There's no worries about that. Because in the end, when you get all the color in, it looks really cool. It doesn't matter if they're straight or not. Always reminds me of Dr. Seuss.
Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, is fun. So,
yes.
All right. So the point of Monday Jumpstart is to try things we've never tried before. Play with things that we've never played with before. Experiment. So if you've never done any of this before, then I hope that you will give it a try with us on Monday Jumpstart. Not that we're going to do this all the time and be expected to do this all the time, but we Monday Jumpstart, we stretch outside of our own box, our own comfort zone. We learn some new things. We try something new. But sometimes we find we like something that we didn't have any idea we did. Sometimes we find that we don't like something we thought we might. We experiment with new products. Monday's a good day to learn a lot about ourselves.
Like Sylvia saying, it's good. It's all about slowing down.
Exactly. And when your brain is going a million miles an hour, it is hard to just slow it down. And when I sit down and do this, at the beginning, I can tell by the way I'm writing, you know, that my brain was a million miles an hour. And by the time I finish, My brain's been forced to slow down. And if you focus on what you're doing, be mindful about what you're doing, then your brain has to be there. That's what mindful is actively paying attention and thinking about what you are doing or eating or, whatever. And by doing that, your brain will slow down because it can't keep going and thinking about what it was if it has to pay attention and focus on what you're asking it for here. Okay, I should have cut this paper in half.
I'm thinking the same thing. There's a lot of things to fill out.
And that's why I did these smaller ones so that we could do small ones and get through a bunch of them.
I just drew a block on my sheet, so I knew.
Oh, you blocked out?
Yeah.
I will go ahead and do all the lines, but I won't color them all. We'll do a bit of that to talk about it, but I won't color them all. I can finish those later.
On the one you have above you, are you leaving those ones like that, or are you going to finish coloring?
No, I was trying to do it quickly to have a sample, and I just didn't get time to finish coloring them.
Because I kind of like it like that.
I kind of do too, and I might leave a few, but I might put a little more color. I don't know. It is kind of cool, but I feel like I need a little more color over here. And
Okay.
I picked two colors, like two complementing, a dark blue, a light blue, dark green, a light green, a pink and a purple, or a lavender and a purple, something like that. Orange and yellow, two colors that look nice together, usually one dark, one light. So even on something that is square with straight lines, you can put curves. Boy. Not done yet. Okay.
I'm on my last one.
I'm going to have to stop doing lines here and start coloring so we can look at that a bit. And then I'll finish it up later. We all know I need to relax.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I'll take like pink and purple. And you could do only one space, pink and purple, or you can do several together. You could do them kind of in a circle, and then the next one around it, next one around it, next one around it, so it changes as you go out. You could do it kind of in a strip. So you have orange, yellow, blue, and pink and purple, whatever like you want to do as far as design. Or you could just do one section and then do one section of this color throughout, here and there. They do not have, there's no rule for that. They do not have to be any particular thing. So I'll start with this one, and I'm just going to color every other space, pink and purple. Super easy. And so for those that don't like to color because we can't stay inside the lines and we don't like the way it looks in the end, that's me. I love to color, but then I try to do it to relax, and then my brain is going and my hands are then going and they can't slow down, and it's not nice and neat like I want it. And then it's not perfect, and perfect is not a good thing. In fact, I'm listening to an audio book right now. It's a psychology book. It's fascinating. I've got to go back and listen to it the third time because I don't take notes when I'm listening because I just listen while I'm working. In fact, I think I need to buy the book so I can make notes in it. But she talks about perfectionism. How many of you struggle with perfectionism? I know I have for most of my life. Struggled with perfectionism. That's why we use black liner. Use my Bible and read. Oh, that's a good idea, Cheryl. Color in adult coloring book using colored pencils. Good. Hearts and circles are awesome. Oh, color down first. Yeah, that would be perfect with watercolor. Then do the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Zen, tangles, dangles. It's all about slowing down. Yes. Cheryl, neuro being the key word. Yeah. How many of you struggle with perfectionism? That's up here. I do. I have my whole life.
I used to.
That need or
never.
I hate to say desire, but that feeling that need to be perfect, for everything to be perfect. If I'm coloring, it's got to be perfect. If whatever it is I've done, is that why we're so critical of our own work? I don't know. I have struggled with that. And nobody else?
I have when it came to just being with my grandmother, but I
Uh-huh.
haven't for myself in a very long time.
Good for
I
you.
know that perfectionism is I'm not perfect and there's no way. One of the things
Right.
my teacher taught me in gifted and talented art was that actually the mistakes that you think are bad are actually usually the best things that happen in your
Right.
artwork.
Yes, because
So, and
they
I
are
learned
unique
that
to
in high
you.
school. So, yeah.
Yeah, not me. My psych instructor thought I needed one-on-one therapy. Margie, yes, that's why everything ends up in the garbage. Yes, I totally understand that, Margie. Glennis, have you ever struggled with perfectionism?
I used to. And then once I started shaking, I had to accept I'm not going to stop shaking. It was like a
Mm.
blessing because then I stopped worrying about it.
Oh, and that was a whole burden lifted off your shoulders, I'll bet.
I was like, I'm going to shake. Let's live with it.
Yeah. Okay. So what I've just learned is that perfectionism is a form of PTSD. Perfectionism comes out of a trauma from our childhood. It could have been a repeated thing that
Mhm.
was a trauma to us, and we are experiencing PTSD, and it comes out in the form of perfectionism, and it based on worthiness.
That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't surprise me one bit
Me,
that
it
I
made
had
perfect
it because
sense
of
to
my
me. I'm like,
grandmother.
all right.
Wow.
Yes. Always felt the need to have to be perfect, straight
Mhm.
A's. I had to do it
Mhm.
perfectly, had to play it perfectly, whatever it was, in order to feel that I was good enough.
Yeah, always living up to someone else's standard.
Yes.
Yep.
So now I'm looking at that from that perspective, going, oh, perfectionism is PTSD. I'm not going to live up to anyone's standards anymore. It might be difficult, but I can let go of that. I can let go of perfectionism. That was very interesting. It was very
Yeah,
enlightening to me. Once I understood that, I just, wow.
it's very interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess once I figured that my grandmother truly was a wench, that sort of broke me out of that.
And you quit trying to be what she
She
wanted
wanted me to be.
for
Exactly.
acceptance. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Um, let's see. My Gemini mother told me early on that I wasn't perfect. She told me that if I was that I was more than enough, just be enough. Oh, that's so awesome, Sylvia. We should all tell our children that. Oh, that our mothers all told us that. Depends if I'm selling it. All right, KK. Yes, I do expect more out of myself if I'm selling it. However,
Yes.
at the same time, there is something nice about finding that one little flaw that lets you know, reminds you that it was handmade,
Mhm.
by a human, not who is not perfect. But I
And
totally get what you're saying.
yep. And especially if nobody else knows that it's a mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
everybody else is looking at it as,
Yep.
you know, oh, that heart is there for a reason. You put the heart there because you covered up a boo-boo. But
Yep.
it doesn't need that. So,
I
yeah.
and I heard an interesting story from someone about that relates to perfectionism and to that, and and mostly it struck home with me in our art, because we're always talking about, this mistake, and every time I look at it I see it. They had painted the wall, and it was not just, straight paint, it was some design or something, and it wasn't drying. It just was taking forever to dry, and he put his hand on it and drug his hand down the wall. And it wasn't like it was still, sloppy wet, but there was a hand mark, and it drug down. And so even as they fixed it just a little bit, they could still see that hand mark drug down,
Mhm.
but no one else that ever came in that room ever saw it. No
Right.
one until they pointed it out. But every
Yep.
time they walked in that room, they saw that handprint.
Mhm.
Isn't that interesting? And isn't that exactly how we are with our art?
Mhm.
Well, in every journal I've ever made, there's at least one thing that I put in upside down. It just happens.
Yeah, that's funny. Accidentally.
Yeah, so now I don't try and fix it. I just leave it
Yeah,
because in every journal at least once.
that's your mark. Jen, I was thinking the same thing that, yep, but that's how I raised my son, and I'm a Gemini.
Yay.
Cheryl, love a stander. That's right. You stand up to those bullies. Good for you. Oh, that's cool. I'm just reading, catching up on some comments there. Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, you guys are way ahead of me then, because I did struggle with some of those, perfectionism and some of those other things that you guys have helped me a lot, even in our art, to learn about the happy accidents and, not worrying about things that I see that nobody else will see.
Mhm.
If you don't know it's there, you don't see it. And
Exactly.
there's another interesting thing with that. When you go sightseeing or when you go like to the mountains or out to the countryside or even to the ocean, and you're looking around at things, know that there is a percentage of things that you are not seeing.
Yep.
I always have that in mind, and I always look again. I always look closer again, and I try to look very mindfully to say, what is here that I'm not seeing? That if I went back and discussed it with someone and they said, oh, did you see such and such? And I went, what? Where was that? I try to find those things. And it takes being very mindful because, your brain will skip over a whole lot of things and grab the things that jump out to it.
Yeah, because certainly I see things totally differently than like my husband does.
Yeah.
Like if we're going someplace, I'll be like, that house on such and such, and he's like,
What house?
no. Yeah, the
Yeah.
yellow one. I don't remember our yellow house being there, and you're like,
Yeah. Because color
oh,
doesn't stand out to
doesn't
him.
stand out to him, and
Color
he's more.
doesn't
Yep.
touch him like it does you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. The things that we relate other things to kind of taint what our brain sees and catches on to.
Right. And any experience we've had too, because
Yes.
um, one thing I catch on the side of the road all the time that he misses are when there's an animal standing on the side of the road. Well, he grew up
Yeah.
in a city. There weren't animals standing on the side of the
Right.
road
You
like a
wouldn't even see
deer
that.
or a, and me, I catch them because I was taught to look for them to tell my whoever was driving, watch out, there's an animal on the side of the road.
Yes.
So that's, a pretty big thing. So you
I can
totally
relate to
learn from
that.
your
It's the same with us.
experiences.
Doug grew up in the city and I grew up in the mountains, and same thing. There, you always had to watch out for deer on the side of the road and other animals as well. But
Mhm.
yeah. So, yep, sometimes we'll drive along and I'll say, did you see that? Whatever animal it was. And
Mhm.
I'll say, no, where was that? And we just drove past it. But yeah,
Yep.
it's what our brain is alerted to.
Mhm.
So that's why I try to be mindful and look again and look harder, because I know that there's a lot of cool things that I'm not seeing,
Mhm.
and I want to see. I want to experience that and enjoy it. So same with art. Isn't it funny how people can look at art and see different things in it?
Mhm. Yep.
I could do the same doodle and give it to all of us, and we could all end up putting different lines in it, different marks, and
Right.
it would look completely different by the time we had colored it.
Yep.
I love that we're all the same sisters, but different.
Well, we can relate to each other.
Yes. It's on the same plane, but we all see different things. And I love that. You know, it's okay. Here's an interesting psychological thing. This has fascinated me my whole life. We're all different. Everybody's different. No two people are alike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have a boyfriend or girlfriend or get married, we're attracted to this person a lot for the things that they have or do or like or know that are different from what we like and have and do and know, right?
Right.
Because that's interesting and it's fun and they've got different perspective. And okay, so then we get married and then we spend our entire life trying to change them to be like us, right? Because and
Mm,
you know, not necessarily you
yeah.
specifically, but in general, as people,
Yeah.
we want them to be like us because we want them to agree with us. We want them to
Yeah.
think like we do so that they'll agree with us and want what we want and like what we like. Isn't that funny how we are attracted to the difference and then we spend so much time trying to change it?
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought, well, you know, first of all, not let me backtrack there. If everybody was the same, if we all thought the same, did the same, you know, colored the same, whatever, art the same, how boring would this world be? You know?
Right.
It'd be so boring because we would all be the same. And then I've always thought that I don't know how much perspective I have on the world, but if the world is 360 and if I have, you know, 150 degrees of perspective on the world, I don't know how much I have. I'm trying to broaden that all the time, but if I have 150 and then I marry somebody who also has 150 and we overlap by 50 or 75, so say we overlap by 50 and you put us together, we've now got my 150 and then his 150. We've now got 250-degree view of the world.
Mm-hmm.
If we learn to use that together to our advantage and not be threatened and get defensive against each other,
Right.
you know, kind of thing. So, yeah, people fascinate me. Sometimes I look at myself and say, "No, why did you do that? Why do you do that way? And what are you thinking? What is the thought process?" You know, and it's just interesting. So pick any colors you want. I think this will be the last one I'll color on here, and then we'll move on to a different one. And I'll finish this one later. So if you're tired of this one, or if this one wasn't your thing, or you're just ready for a new one,
I'm almost finished.
oh, good for you for cutting it to a little square. And that's why I cut those small pieces. Now, why I just didn't, should have cut this one in half and done a small one, would have been perfect. If we get through all the ones we want to and have time at the end, I can come back and work on this. If not, I'll do it later when I'm trying to relax in front of the TV and can't sit still. Okay, let's see here. Catch up on some comments.
I'm not doing too good on that.
No, you're not. No, I'm kidding. I know that you're arting with us.
Yeah.
Cheryl, even today, I intervene when I see it happening at the store. Good for you. Sylvia, for the safety of the general public, I remain at home. Always have, always will. Grew up with 4 brothers and a very rough daddy. Mom was our protector. I stood up to dad even when he was horrible to mom. Good for you. That's tough to do.
Yeah.
He wasn't an abuser, but he was firm in what he expected from his family. Adam was a rough draft drawn in black and white. We were created with time and color. That's right, Sylvia. Adam was a rough draft. And Eve as well. But you notice how different they were, even though they were born out of the same ribs and both rough drafts. Sylvia, sometimes I think I should stay home, but there's hell to pay here if I do. Even being in a wheelchair, I'm out serving others and doing my thing. Cheryl, I love your spirit. Silver almost blows me. Yep, dad was a Marine. Oh, and Hobbs is retired Air Force, so I got it all sides. Go Air Force. Cheryl, Doug was Air Force. Yeah, we've got my dad was Army, Doug was Air Force. His dad was Army.
My
Okay.
dad was Air Force.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
Off we go into the
Into
wild
the
blue
wild blue
yonder.
yonder.
Don't
Yep.
get me singing that. Those songs stick in my head, and I'll be singing them all day, all week. Okay, So we'll set this one aside and I'll come back to it. Yeah, I should have cut that in half. That'd have been just about right to do, but it'll give me one to do later. Okay, I am going to cut it in half for this one. Otherwise, it'll take me forever to draw the lines. And this one, we don't quite do the same random design drawing that we have done with some of the others. This one, we will start right with our black marker. And there is no, that it has to be a particular way. I always tend to go up to the left corner and start with this little guy. It's just a way to break the page and get me started. So I'm going to put 2 lines like that.
Okay.
Okay. And just so that you can see where we're going, you can put straight lines in it. You can put curved lines in it. You can put great big deep C's, C shape, any lines you want there. But there's our starting point. Auxiliary president for several years with our Navy Club. Wow. Had to get a drink. My mouth is a little dry. Okay, so now this is the fun part, and you can think about it a little bit, which also helps your brain to start to create. So now we're going to draw a line, not a big old squiggly, like we do on some of these, but a smooth, something with curves, but something smooth there. Okay. And then we're going to come back and we're going to draw the second one next to it. I just realized, I just thought about this. If I make them skinnier, might take me less time to put all the lines in them. This one tends to not be as relaxing for me because those little lines drive me crazy. After the repetition, my hand starts to go blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we want to put more in, but now because we've got one, the next one is going to go underneath it. So I might go like this. And then I'll do the second one. So basically I'm drawing a tube. And it doesn't matter if it's perfect, like it gets wider, smaller here and there. That doesn't matter, really, honestly. It gives it character and shape and dimension when it's done. Okay, so then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to draw like this.
I can't remember what the name of this one is. There's actually a Zentangle that's like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That you
I
just
did
keep.
not know that.
I think it might be Hullabah. Maybe.
Oh.
HULLIBAUGH. You start with one and then you just keep putting them underneath. So the top one was the top
Uh-huh.
thing.
I did not know that.
Yeah. If I had my book up here, I would tell
Yeah.
you, but I don't have my book up here.
I'll have to look that up or have you show me later. Okay, so really, they just can go anywhere now. And I don't want a ton. Notice that when I create the tubes, I'm creating spaces in between them. Those spaces are what we're going to color. So I want to make sure that, like, this is kind of a big space. So I'm going to cut that space off. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to do that like this. It's coming all the way down. And so the other half of the tube. Okay, this is kind of a big space over here, but it doesn't need a whole lot. So maybe I'll just give it one like this where it goes right next to it. Let's see if there's anywhere else I want to cut in half. Yeah, it's kind of, well, they're all kind of big spaces there. Let's see. That one was kind of a weird one. I wasn't thinking when I did that one. Probably would have gone opposite direction. I will probably do one. Comes down here. Okay, and which side of that? I'll go this side. And when you've got enough that you are okay with it, then you stop. And then we color. The next thing we do is color. After we color, then we put our lines in the tubes. Okay, this is way more lines than I want to have on this little page, but it needs something to cut across those. There we go. All right, that's better. All right, so for coloring these, I really like to have something that has a thicker point. Colored pencils, brushes, markers with brush, or thicker markers. These, I'm going to use these three. They're Sharpies, but they are metallic, and I just have a gold, silver, and copper. I'm going to use those and see what that looks like. I haven't done it with these three yet, and I thought that one might be fun if they look cool, metallic with the black and white marks in between them. And because they're a little thicker nib, I can color a lot faster. And they squeak, which is fun. Okay, so there's a gold. Okay, and if you can see white through it and it's not completely colored in and you want it completely colored in, just turn it and go the opposite direction with your pencil, with your marker. This one I did with these skinny little markers, which took me forever, which is why I didn't finish the other one. And I did it one way, and then I went and had to turn it and do it the opposite way on every one of them to get all the white out. All right, let's get copper. I wonder what these will look like. I've never done metallic markers. I've always used color, not so much metal.
There a reason why you don't fill in the tube lines until after?
Not necessarily. You could do it first. It gives you, and see, on any of these kinds of things, if you get partway through and you like it that way, you can stop. You know, you don't have to complete it. So if you get all this done and you've got the white tubes going through, you could stop and leave it if you like that. But you don't really see what it looks like till you get all the color down. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Just always colored them in first. I like the copper. The gold doesn't seem very shiny gold, does it? It's not, it's not the bright yellow gold, that's for sure. Could get one of those gold foiling pens.
Here. Does
Yeah.
she played?
Hi, Christy.
Sylvia's asking a general question. Who has done their monthly prompts? Well, I have.
Oh, October monthly prompts.
Yep.
Be sure to get your October monthly prompts in, because that prompt challenge might just end at the end of this year. So you've got October, November, and December left. It's pinned at the top of the page, of the Facebook page. Make anything you want using the prompts that are given. And if you use the bonus prompt, you get a second chance in the drawing. And post it in the group with the hashtag that's listed there. And be sure to mention if you use the bonus item. And then the last day of the month, I will pull, or the first day of November, I'll pull all those hashtags, and we will draw and give away $10 to someone who did the prompt challenge. And that is $10 that you can use at a live sale, or $10 that you can use on the website, hppcreate.com. Either way, $10 in craft supplies is $10, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have that box that is stuffed with $450 in craft supplies sitting on the floor right here by my feet. And it is all ready to go. We are 17 subscribers away from 1,000 on YouTube. So I'm watching daily, and we're going to start pulling the hashtag. So we'll be ready. And as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, we are going to draw and give away this box of craft supplies. It's over $450 value, retail value. And all you have to do to get into that drawing is to watch any video or all the videos that are on HPP channel, this channel that we're on right now, and leave a comment with the hashtag 1000 subs, 1000 SUBS. And we will pull that hashtag, and one person will win this box. You can get over 500 chances in that drawing, because you can get one entry into the drawing for every single video you watch and comment on. And I would suggest you leave a short comment, even if it's just a few words. If you only leave the hashtag, YouTube might throw it out, thinking it's a bot or a spammer. So if you leave a short comment and then just include the hashtag, you're good to go. And if you don't want Glennis to have it, get in there and leave some comments.
I've got one in every single video.
She's been diligent in going in and commenting on every video. She really wants this box, guys.
Oh, she does. She really does.
She really, really does. So I'm just curious if they're just going to let you have it, or if any other people are going to go in and get a whole bunch. You've still got time. We need 17 subscribers. So you've still got time to go in and get a lot of comments in there. And I'm trying to catch up on comments.
Or you can just let me have it.
Or you can just let Glennis win it. Shipping is paid for by HPP unless you are out of the country, and then HPP will pay what the U.S. shipping would be, and you would be asked to pay the difference if there's anybody besides Glennis that's out of the country and curious about that.
Sylvia wants to know if you're purposely limiting yourself to 3 colors.
No. I am, because I only had, as I grabbed for some metallic markers before we started, these were the only 3 that were right here. So that's why I am. But for the purpose of doing it, no, there's no reason to limit yourself to any amount of colors. Let's see. Yeah, use any colors that make you happy. If that's 2 or 5 or the entire rainbow, doesn't make any difference. This silver is running out. So this coloring part will go pretty quickly because I've got these big fat markers, but the marks on the tubes won't go as quickly. And maybe that's why I've always done this first, Glennis, because if the point of this is for me to slow my brain down and relax, making those little marks is not the thing for me to start with, because my hand goes all over the place and the marks are not nice and neat, and then it drives me crazy. So if I do this big coloring spot first, then that's a whole lot easier to do, or I don't have to worry about being precise. And then by the time I've done this, maybe I'm relaxed enough to go back and do the all the little marks. That could very well be why I've always done it this way. I don't know.
My brain says, do them and get it over with.
Oh,
I've got 2 more tubes to do.
and it might depend on what state my brain is in that day.
Yeah.
And you don't have to make the tubes with the oval things. I did mine with V's.
Yeah, that works too. In fact, what do you call them? Like a chevron, but then you do another chevron opposite of it, and so they're like X's.
Egg bracket?
Like X's, or I guess they could be W's or V's. Oh, is that what you did?
Yeah.
Just like that? Yeah. Let's see here.
Well, I've got circular lines and some straight lines. So on the straight tubes, I have made them just straight. I like that.
Okay.
To change how it looks different.
Cool. Another thing that you can do is draw circles in the tubes, like little bubbles, just little bubbles next to each other.
That sounds like too much work. It depends on how much time. Yeah. Depends on how time, really.
It's easier than the lines, though, because if I have lines lined up, I expect them to be uniform. And if I'm doing bubbles, they can be all different sizes. And even somewhat different shapes. So that gives me a little more freedom in that regard. All right. What have I got left? Not a whole lot.
Yeah, this one is going much faster.
Yeah. Especially if you color in with thick markers or colored pencils where you can color
or watercolors, because they go really fast.
You know what? Posca pens, acrylic paint. You could get a better quality paper or watercolor paper, and you could use watercolor paints or even oil paints. Really, you can do these with any medium you want, any medium you have. They don't have to be anything in particular. My silver is just about dead. Hold on, silver. We got one last corner to do here. Might not make it. Probably have another one somewhere. Have to find it. Maybe if I put it away for a bit, it'll. Okay. All right, so that's done, and then I would come back and do either. I did lines up here, but sometimes I'll do. I always call them chevrons overlapping, so then they look like X's. But I think this is what DM said she did. They're V's, the chevron V's, like that.
Yeah, well, mine look more like well, they would be. It would be more like they're pointing the direction the thing is going. Here.
Oh, I see. I see. So the V is all on the same side. Okay. Yeah, I see that. That makes sense too. The V all pointing on the same side. You can make any kind of marks in here you want. Something like this for me is faster and is a little easier on my brain, and a little easier to unwind my brain, because it's not marks that are all standing up like little soldiers, and all I see is the difference in height and the difference in, width, thickness, and straightness. And, So yeah, you can do any kind of march you want inside here.
Of course. No, I didn't put it back.
Okay, we are at 1 o'clock. I want to get to the Huggins because I really want to show you how to do that. Because it is so cool to look at it when you're done and say, I just did that when you didn't think you knew how to draw. The Huggins, once I start it, I won't stop to ask if anybody needs to catch up or something, because once we get going with it, I will go nice and slow so that you can do it along with me. And I'm going to do it on a small, very small piece of paper. It's going to be 2 by 2 like this. But we will continue going. I'm not going to go back. So if somebody comes in and wants to know what was that first step, I'm not going to go back because it can throw people off. I want to go through it just straight, smoothly, consistently, and then it will be there for replay if anybody needs to go back and watch it over again, or even wants to write down the steps. You can do that as well. But so hopefully, if you want to do that one, get yourself a 2 by 2 piece of paper. 2 by 2 piece of cardstock would be good. And I'll tell you exactly what you'll need for this one. You'll want a marker, not a thick one like a Sharpie, unless you're going to do it great big, but a thinner one. Let's see. That one's kind of thick even. That one's kind of thick. What happened to all my thin markers?
Christy is going to be sending you a private message about some stuff she wants.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Christy.
This
Yes,
is the
love
other
this
one that
Rose
I
on
was
DM.
doing.
She is a very practiced doodler. She missed a spot. She's very, very good at doodling. Let me go back. I'm going back, catch up on chat here. Yeah, Margie. Coloring and an adult coloring book could do the same. The only difference is that you're creating the doodle from start, not looking at somebody else's design and coloring it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Let's see. Missed a spot.
I did miss a spot.
Me, missed a lot of spots.
Oh no, I found a
I don't know
spot
who
I
she was
missed.
talking to. Okay. Who is going to do, just so I know before we start, who is going to do the Huggins with me? I know DM
I
is.
am.
Glynis?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And I won't keep an eye on chat while I'm doing this because I want to run consistently. If there are questions, if you would, if there are questions that, if you would maybe just keep an eye on them or remember them so you could ask me after. I really want this one to try to be like a smooth tutorial from start to end so that it'd be easy for people to go back and look at, because it's a super fun one to do. And the instructions are super easy. I promise you're going to be able to do this. But I don't want it disrupted in the middle. It will make it more difficult for sure.
DM, Sylvia says she loves the swirls that you put on the other one.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, but I would like to know, okay, Sylvia's going to do it. Cool. Anybody else going to do this one? I will leave it sitting here so you know.
You might want to zoom in a little bit, Marianne.
Where we're headed. But
yeah,
that's a good point. But we don't, if you look at this, you might end up confusing yourself. So, okay, give me just a second and we'll get that autofocus off and let's get some zoom here. Okay, that should be good, you think?
This one is very satisfying.
You can't see it.
It might be a little.
Come on.
It's not moving.
It's
Like
not.
it stayed.
No,
The Zoom
It
hasn't
didn't move
moved
in
in.
any closer?
no,
No.
Mine did in StreamYard. That's a little weird.
no. And
Oh,
StreamYard,
it didn't in StreamYard on mine either.
It
no, and
didn't?
my StreamYard's the same.
Well, that's funny. Okay. Okay, is that any closer?
Nope, it
Nope.
stayed the same.
That's funny because mine zoomed right in. Oh, technology, gotta love it. All right. Well, if Zoom didn't do anything, and I did hit apply twice for the Zoom. Okay, if you get dizzy easily, then
Close your eyes for a
close your
minute.
eyes for a second. All I'm going to do is bring the camera down. But it could have a little jolt like that. Probably be right in my face. So if I bump the camera, it's my forehead. All right. Is that better? A little closer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Who brought the snacks for us?
Cheesies.
Glennis.
Oh,
That's me and my cheesies. I love my cheesies. I thought I'd open them and get that done with. So
yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, let's see. Which one of these is going to be? This one will be a little thinner. I'll use this one because it's so small. All right. Sylvia's going to do it with us. Anybody else? Christy, you could do this one. Do this one with us. Oops, hang on just a second. Okay, back. Okay, yeah, Christy, I'm hoping that you'll do this one with us. Sylvia will for sure. Okay, so I'm going to set this off camera because I don't want to keep looking at it and have it confuse you because it can easily. So you might even have time to write down these steps if you want to. And if you don't, you can always come back to the replay to write them down because they're very, very simple. Okay, so 2x2 piece of paper. This is a Zentangle, and they call it Huggins. It's a Huggins tangle.
and the names are consistent throughout the Zentangle world. So you can look up Huggins and see.
Yes, you can look up Huggins tangle. And I don't know like what Huggins means or why it's called Huggins. Do you, DM?
I'm not sure. A lot of them are named after the people that make
Oh,
them
that
up
created
and
them?
put them in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
So that one could be.
They
But
could
yeah,
be.
there's a whole website that actually has every Zentangle on it that you just go through alphabetically.
Wow.
And
I haven't gotten into it that deeply, but I like it. I like it. And there's some that I like better than others. Huggins is one that I really, really like. Okay, so on our 2x2 piece of paper, we are going to start with 4 rows of 4 dots. So in my mind, I'm just going to kind of break this in half and I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered. And same thing across 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do 4 rows. 1, 2, 3. Whoops, hold on to the paper. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Third row. 1, 2, 3, 4. That camera is really in my way. That's okay. Perfection is not our goal, right?
nope.
Okay, so we have 4 rows of 4 dots each row. Now we are going to draw some lines. We are going to draw hills and valleys. We are going to start with a hill. We're going to draw from the outside of the first dot a hill to the outside of the second dot. And then we're going to draw a valley from the outside of the second dot to the outside of the third dot. And then a hill from the outside of the third dot to the outside of the fourth dot. Make perfect sense? Super easy. If you're doing it, we do not expect you to comment because you want to be able to keep going with consistency. And again, perfection is not our goal, so we're not going to worry about that. Okay, second row, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to start with a valley. Outside of the first dot to the outside of the second dot, and then a hill outside of the second dot to the outside of the third dot, and then a valley outside of the third dot to the outside of the fourth dot. Oops, yeah, doesn't matter, it'll work. Okay, and we can see that we've got the same thing there, so you know you've got that right. Now we're going to go third row, same thing, opposite of what we just did. So we're going to go back to a hill first, outside of the first dot to outside of the second, a valley outside of the second to outside of the third, and a hill outside of the third to outside of the fourth. And the last row, we're going to start with a valley outside of the first to outside of the second, a hill outside of the second to outside of the third, and a valley outside the third to outside the fourth. Okay, so we've got all our hills and all of our valleys. Now we're going to turn it a quarter turn. I turned a quarter turn to the left. It's not centered on my paper. It doesn't matter. We can make it centered later if we want to. Doesn't even matter. Yeah, Christy, you'll be able to do this later, and I really think that you'll like it. Okay, now we're going to repeat the hills and valleys going the opposite direction. Okay, this time we are going to start with a valley. Our first one is going to be a valley from the outside of the first to the outside of the second, and then a hill from the outside of the second to the outside of the third, a valley from the outside of the third to the outside of the fourth. Go to the second row, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start opposite of where we started. We started with a valley, so we'll start with a hill, then a valley, then a hill. Okay, we'll go to the third row and do the same thing. We started with a hill there. We're going to start with a valley here. A valley from the outside of 1 to the outside of 2, hill from the outside of 2 to the outside of 3, and a valley from the outside of 3 to the outside of 4. And then our fourth row, same thing. We started with a valley. We're going to start with a hill here. Outside of 1 to the outside of 2, outside of 2 to the outside of 3, outside of 3 to the outside of 4. That right there is just a very cool little design that you've drawn that is super simple once you know how to do it. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is clean up our dots a little bit and emphasize them. So we'll go back and we'll just make our dots a little bit bolder, showing where they are. If any of our lines aren't circling it perfectly, we just clean it up by making the dot a little more prominent. I was kind of doing it along the way. Okay. That right there gives it a 3D effect, doesn't it? Okay, now we're going to put an aura on each shape. So we will turn it back to where it was. Turning it back, just the quarter turn back. So I've got the two hills with the valley in between them at the top. And so we're going to put an aura on each shape, starting with the very first one. This side, we're going to give it an aura right here. And we're going to give it an aura right here. Ooh, not too big, Marianne. The perfection is not the goal. Just remember that. And I'm going to do all the ones that are shaped like this or facing this way. I'm going to go to the bottom row because there's 2 more there. And put a little aura. The one I did in the middle of the night to have the sample was neater than this one. But perfection is not our goal, right?
Nope.
Okay, then I'm going to turn it a quarter turn again. And, you know, it didn't matter if you left it and started it that way. But I'm going to do the ones in the center, give them an aura as well. Now, know that when you're doing something like this, any kind of a tangle, you can stop at any point that you like it. If you get the auras in or something else in and you say, wow, I just love the way that looks, don't forget the one right in the middle. You can stop at any point you like. You do not have to do any additional step. Okay. Now I am going to turn it back so that I've got the 2 vertical ribbons. They kind of look like ribbons, woven ribbons. I've got the 2 vertical ones facing up and down and the 1 horizontal one between them across. So now I'm going to go to each one of the vertical ones. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vertical ones. And I'm going to put a row of dots right down the center. So difficult. You see these and you think, oh my goodness, that person, that talented artist, see how difficult they are? We all could do them. Telling you, your grandchildren can do these if you have instructions to give to them. It's that we look at the final product and think, wow, I couldn't do that. Okay, so now I put dots right down the vertical ones. And now I'm going to go to the horizontal ones. And there are 4 horizontal ones, and I'm going to put orbs in them. I will start in the center with an orb, and then I'm going to make them C's, the letter C shape. You can do them great big or very tiny so that you have as few or as many in there as you like. But I'm going to do those orbs in each of the horizontal ones. And, you know, depending on the spacing, I only got 2 in that one. I got 4 in that one, so doesn't really matter. Got 3 in that one. Okay, 1 more. Okay. So once you've got your orbs in the horizontal ones, I'm going to give just tiny bits of highlight markings on the orbs here and there. Maybe just the large one in the center, give it just a little mark, which looks like a highlight mark, which tends to give it some dimension, and maybe a couple of the others here and there. A couple of the others that are big enough to see a tiny little mark. There we go. That'll work. Okay, so now I'm going to put my marker away for a minute, just trying to make sure, think about it, and make sure I'm getting everything in order. Don't usually speak it out loud when I do things, so you know, everything sounds different when I'm speaking it out loud than when I just do it. Now I'm going to shade the negative space on the horizontal ones. So not all the negative space. So I've got 4 horizontal ones here. I'm going to go just to the outside. I just have a graphite pencil, and I'm going to the outside, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of pencil. Outside of that one. Outside of that one. So there's only 4 of those. Okay, and then I'm going to use a tortillon to just blend it a bit. And the reason for blending it is just so that you don't have any lines, any straight lines of pencil. So all you do is take your tortillon and rub it in circles, just little bits of circles, and it just blends it, mushes it up, gets rid of any line. So it just kind of fades. You could use a tiny scrubber brush too to do this. If you don't have a tortillon, you could
Use your finger too.
you could use your finger. This is kind of small for my fingers,
Right.
but I was looking for I don't have it. I have several different shades or sizes of scrubber brushes. A scrubber brush is just a brush, like a paintbrush, but the bristles are real hard. They stay together. They're really hard, and they're kind of they're thick, but then it comes to a point kind of at the edge, so you can just scrub on it like we do with this tortillon. Just kind of scrub it in a little circle, and it blends it. It's a blender brush. Okay, so we've got our highlights. Excuse me. I'm sorry, highlights. Then we did our negative space. Now we're going to add some Zentangle marks called fescue. I love this name. So I'm going back to my marker, and I'm going to come to each of the outside pieces. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where the wide part is on the outside. And I'm just going to add some fescues. Again, I don't know. Maybe the name is from whoever
The grass.
created it.
This one is because of fescue grass. This
Oh,
one I do
okay.
know.
And then that makes perfect sense. Okay.
And it's actually one of the basic ones because you use in a lot of other ones.
And fescue is super easy. And if you look at this once we do it and you go, oh, I could add those to lots of things I do, and it would add just a little bit of whimsy. That's the point of adding it to this, is that it just adds a little bit of whimsy. And so all fescue is a long or short, doesn't matter, line that is like a piece of grass. That's perfect. Thank you for that. I'm not even familiar with fescue grass, with a little teardrop on the end of it. So maybe a little piece of fescue grass with a drop of water or morning dew on it. And they can be short, they can be long. They're kind of curved, hanging over, whichever direction they go. I'm going to put about 4. I think there's just about the right amount of space for 4 on each one of these. And I had more room over here than I have over here. So these are either going to be a lot more curved, which is okay. I like them curved. Or they're going to be smaller because there isn't as much room. But make them overlap each other on the bottom. So when they come out of the bottom, they aren't just coming 4 in a row. They can come out wherever they come out. And that makes them, let's see, I actually would like that one to go all the way up there. That's a double fescue. It got 2 raindrops on it. Let's see. Okay. So now I've got fescue on each of the wide edges, wide sides of that ribbon. It just looks like ribbon to me. Okay. And then I'm going to put a few dots around here and there, again, for whimsy. It's like those little bit of um, rub-ons that Janine 49 Market does all the time. She adds a little bit of rub-on here and there, and it just really adds to the whole thing. So cool. So just adding a little bit of dots there adds a little bit of whimsy. Not sure which way I should turn it because I should probably cut that off and bring it in a little tighter. Well, it doesn't matter. Give it a little bit of room to slide underneath something if I need it to. Okay, and then we're going to do shading. So now we put the marker back down and need your pencil again. And we are going to shade the ends of the, what do we call them? I don't know. They just look like ribbons to me. We're going to shade like here and here and here and here. Both ends. Okay. And then grab our tortillon and again, small circles that blend that out a bit. And you might be thinking, I am putting pencil on this and this just looks wrong. Trust me, once you get it on there and once you've blended it all in, it ends up looking really cool. It actually does end up looking 3D.
It looks like they're going into a big hole on your paper.
Yes. These are the tricks artists use to make things 3D. You know what really fascinates me is those paintings that they do on the ground that look like a hole.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did the ends. Let's see, we've got the ends of the orbs. We've got the top and the bottom of the ribbon. Let's do the outside by the fescue a bit. Bit of shadow there. Shading. Not really shadow, shading, but that's what it creates.
Now, if your little, what are you calling it? The little
The tortillon?
Tortillon, if it's got enough stuff on it, you can just rub it against.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I need to grab this other one because there's too much pencil on it and I'm getting too much on it.
Like where the fescue is, I just rub.
I probably could have just done that without adding more pencil. Yeah.
Right.
That's a really good point. Okay. So there are my two, side by side. Left is the sample one I had done, and then the right one is the one we just did right now. Not identical, very, very similar, all just following the same steps. So let's get Deanne back on here so we can see hers.
Though.
Oh, so she did hers larger. Is that a 6x6?
Oh, I have no idea. I just put 4 lines on and then.
I mean, your paper. Is your paper 6x6?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So your drawing's probably about 4x4.
Yeah.
Blue fence grass, Kentucky blue, fescue. Oh, they all put that back there and I didn't even see it. That's okay. Yeah, fescue type of grass.
It's also a, I'm going to do one here. You can also, if you can see me guys, if you do one of these, I'm just going to twist it from here and you put a dot at the end and then you put dots down the side, it can be a seagrass.
Yes.
So that's another way to just change it up.
So you can mix your grasses, or you could do 3 of these and do each one with a different type, of design that comes out. And you can do them any size you want. So these are 2x2s. DM's paper is 6x6, so hers is probably about 4x4.
And mine's in the middle. Mine's about 3x3.
3x3, okay. And
you can still look at everything. Like right now, I'm putting little C's around my dots because that'll make it
because they're big enough that you can see them.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can do more detail like that when you have it, when you're doing a larger page. It would have been overloaded had I put more than 4 fescue on here because it's tiny. Doing it the size of Glennis or DM, you could put more, 5, 6, however many fescue fit, looking, like they fit. But that's a fun one, isn't it? Sylvia?
It's all in the highlighting.
Yeah.
It really is.
And again, you can stop at any point you want. If you get to the point, you just put the dots down the center and you think, I like it like that, you can stop. And when you do a Zentangle drawing, of course, you put your initials on it and you turn it over to the back and you write a little bit about what's in your mind or on your heart this day when you did that. Sylvia, did you make it all the way through? I hope I didn't go too fast.
Another thing I always do is I write the name of whatever it is on each one, so I remember which one it is.
DM, do you know what this is? Oh, Huggins.
Yeah.
It's just Huggins, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the design has any name. Maybe it does, but the style is Huggins. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna turn my camera on for a second because I did mine freehand in the air while I was watching for comments.
In the air?
Yeah, I didn't have it not on the table. I just did it. So let's see if I can.
Oh.
That's what mine looks like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. Very cool. See?
Very unsymmetrical.
That's perfect.
It doesn't have to be like you put it. Look at mine and look at DM's. Hers is very neat. Mine is very.
Okay, but look at hers. At the top, her top row, her ribbon is wider.
It's much wider.
And on the bottom, her ribbon is thinner. So, yeah, you get different looks by doing that, by changing the width and how far apart the dots are that you start with.
Yep, I've seen it done from very small and brought outward.
Oh,
like you start
cool.
like this and you sort of go out.
Yeah, almost like a wing pattern.
Yes.
So you could, yeah. Okay, let's get Sylvia's. Give me a second here. Let's take a look at Sylvia's. Sweet. Wow. She did it on a piece of black and white paper, which is cool. It gives it a whole nother background. So look at that. That is really cool.
Oh, I like it.
I do too. So you can see that how you space the dots apart can give you wider or thinner ribbons. And
she's done her fescue different because she's got like dots on the end of them, and that looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she did the raindrops like we did. Some of them maybe look like they have more of a dot than, but it still looks like fescue to me.
It looks great.
I like it a lot. And then she's got the dots on the outside for whimsy here and there. Mm-hmm. That is very cool, Sylvia. I like it on that book page. That is really awesome. Sylvia, what's the size of yours? Is it about 2x2 or is it larger? Well, waiting for her to answer.
She used a gel pen, she said.
Okay.
Yep,
oh,
you can use a gel pen.
Perfect. I'm curious as to what size it is. When you take a picture close up, they all look big.
Mm-hmm.
And I find these are one thing. I tend to go back and I keep adding, a day later, 2x2.
So here's what DM was talking about. 2x2 and a fourth. Okay, cool. So that's about the size of mine, or tiny, just a tiny bit larger, not much. I don't even know if mine's exactly 2x2, but it's somewhere right in there. So DM was talking about doing the same thing, but doing it in a different shape. So I have 10 dots across here. maybe I could have done them a little farther apart and done a few less dots. But if I come down to the bottom and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the center right here. If I come down to the bottom and I do 8, 9, 10. Okay. If I come down to the bottom and I do the same 10, and so every row is going to have 10 dots in them. But, and this is the way I do it to get my proportions. I have a hard time getting it as I go and knowing that I'm going to end up right. So my starting point, my ending point are both marked. And then every row in between is going to have 10, but it's going to go out a little bit bigger as we go.
Yes.
Whoops, I actually
Yeah,
got that out
yeah.
a little too soon. Gonna make a
If
big
you
dot in there.
switch to me, I can show you how I do it just to make it. Okay, I make a grid like that, and then I
Oh,
put a dot on every single
where the grid corners are.
where the corners are.
Okay, that's a good idea. 1,
And I
2.
yeah. Sometimes I don't even do the dots. I just do it from this point.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you would do it without the dots, just use the corners as your
I just use the corners as my
guide.
but that's because that's yeah.
And then once you make your first marks in marker, do you erase your pencil?
I do sometimes, and
Okay.
sometimes I don't. Because like on this one, I didn't, and you can still
Uh-huh.
see that they're there. They're really light, but it's
Oh,
gone
you
over
did a
it.
grid on that one?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So multiple ways to do it. The idea is just to get from small to large. And then I know each one's going to have 10. And if I've got about the center, that's going to be about 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not making them very straight here, but then you just could
We
follow
can't
along.
see. Oh, I guess no, that's my broken screen. I was going to say we can't see you. That's my fault. My screen's you're behind the broken part.
Oh. Oh, Glennis. I'm not sorry because you're going to get you a new iPad anyway.
Yep.
That you wanted. Yeah, I just follow those rows down. I'm not paying attention, and I'm not making them very, very straight rows. But when you finish, DM's already doing her hills and valleys. You can see how it's the same design, but it goes out from small to large.
The other
Ours
thing
is
I
going
always remember is that like this square is going to be pinched here, so
right.
these will be outside. So you
Yep.
can almost go by each square if you really wanted to.
Once you get a feel for it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not sure, if you just keep in mind the hills and valleys, start the next row the opposite. But once you get a feel for it, then you know just how to do them, and you don't have to really worry about that. Yeah. This one's going to be really wonky. This one will be the small to large with the bubble in the middle. With the Michael bubble in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. That's funny. It's going to have a big old bubble right there.
DM, yours reminds me of the rawhide treats you get for the dogs.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes, it does. Me too.
And then I go and I put my I just fill in the little squares or the little where the dots were.
Oh, on the points? Yep. At that point, we were just cleaning them up.
Because then it looks like something is you actually looks like it's turning around and going back underneath.
Yes. Which is, that's why we go back and kind of clean them up, because that gives you your 3D effect. And you know, something that really helps with that to get that 3D effect is when you make these little hills and valleys, remember to go from the outside of the circle to the outside of the circle. There's another one. I think we have time. Yeah, we've got 10, 12 minutes. Let's see. Didn't I have another piece? Here we go. I don't know. This one is kind of a, it's kind of a take on Huggins, I guess. I've seen. Or maybe it's still just called Huggins, but it's just.
You can add a name. Like I've got one that says Crazy Huggins, and inside of Huggins, there's triangles all through it.
Ah, okay. So this one, you just draw orbs on your paper, all different sizes.
My YouTube is so bad you haven't switched over yet.
Oh, wow.
So I see one picture on StreamYard and a different picture on YouTube.
That's crazy. So you just draw orbs all over your paper, and well, it's kind of an odd size piece of paper to be doing that with, because now there's a weird amount of orbs. But, and then I probably need a few more. I don't know. As you're going along, if you need more, you can add them. You know, that's always okay. All right. So then you start with one orb, and you come around it, and you go down, and you come around the next one. So that's kind of like making a hill from one dot to the next. Okay. And then we're going to, I have to turn my paper because I don't.
Yeah, I do too.
The directions. I'm gonna connect those two.
Sylvia, everybody's working.
Yeah. Everybody is drawing and coloring. Okay. And then I'm going to connect this one. And then I'm going to connect that one. And that one. Let's see here. Doesn't really go in very well. I need another one up. No, I don't. I need another one right there. Because that one. Okay. That's kind of weird backwards, but
You can make them triangles too.
but yeah, exactly. Like this one, I would probably do a triangle here. And I'm going to do it this direction here. Okay, and so you're basically doing the whole page in Huggins, and you're just connecting. You can kind of look at them in fours. Wherever you have one, now what three can I attach these to, or what two to make a triangle? And if you like here, that's kind of a triangle right there. But if I don't really like it, I can add another orb here, and I can make it be 4 instead of 3 for a triangle if I don't really like that triangle but wanted to make that, you know, more 4-sided. Let's see here. And it's really cool when you get a whole page of this and you start looking at them. You look at them, you go, oh wow, there's a toaster. You know, there's a this, there's a that. They kind of take on the looks of things. It's like looking at clouds for me. When we were growing up, we were talking about this earlier. We were growing up and we just called this doodling, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just sit and you doodle, and we never thought that we were really making art, but we were.
No.
And we we were we were using our creativity without knowing that we were creatively, making art.
I actually was told doodling like this would never make me money, and I wasn't an artist.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. And then I look at the Zentangles, and my father was gone already, but I did say to my mom, this person's making money off of it, I'm
Yep,
sure.
yep. And you know what? Everybody's an artist, so you'll never
Right.
be an artist. And no, I might not be Michelangelo, you know, but I also may not care to be like Michelangelo. That's not my thing.
Right.
It's not my style. So
And I was told I couldn't get into art school doing stuff like this, and this is
exactly what got you in.
well, no, I didn't go into art school. I wish I had.
No, but you could have gotten to art school with this.
I probably could have. I
I
should show
know
you
you.
guys some of my stuff from when I was in high school. It totally looks like stuff I do now, and
Wow.
yeah.
That's very cool. Oh, I should have done that. Let's see. Okay, so you can color in your circles. You can leave them open. Really, you can do anything you want. Once you get a whole page of this, you could go
Mhm.
back and do little things inside of each square. You could do mini ones of these inside of each shape. You could color in the shapes. That is the beauty of doing what you want. Isn't that the beauty of art? It is what you want. It's however you want it.
You know what, Sylvia? I used to doodle in church. That was probably when I did most of my doodling, was when
Mm,
I had to sit in church and I couldn't pay attention to what was being said. So I
wow.
had a little tiny notebook that I would put inside
Uh-huh.
another book, and I would sit and doodle.
Yeah. And some of us need to have our hands doing something, doodling like this, in order for our brains to be able to
Mhm.
slow down and listen, right?
Right.
So if kids are doodling in church, I don't tell them to stop, because sometimes I know they're paying more attention if they're doodling.
Yep. And you can add to it. See, I'm just pulling some straight lines
Oh, yep. Here and
from the
there.
sides.
Yep. You could add fescues to it. You could add, what are the other things you called just a different style of fescue?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but there's also a fescue that's well, yeah, it's if you take any line and draw it
Mhm.
out, there's multiple things you could do.
Uh,
You could
yeah.
put you could put a little circle there and then a smaller half circle and then a dot. So it makes it like a sort of little triangle at the top, or like your phone um
Word.
uh thing at the top. You
Mm-hmm.
can do one that has one dot just at the top, and then you can, bring smaller dots out from it. There's one that you can put one dot at the top closer and then dots to the side. And this is just like hand, just doing much as you want. And that makes
Sure.
like a grass. So these 3 are just
Oh,
takes
yeah.
on
That's cool.
other.
And anything else that you can think of, just other takes
Right.
that
I
interest you.
mean, yeah, you can do this and then put triangles out from it. So just,
Oh,
adding
yep.
something at the end
Mhm.
of a line, there's multiple things you can do. I mean, you don't have to even just do a twirl.
You could put tiny hearts everywhere, Sylvia.
Yep. Yep. So when you do a twirl, you go like this and you could actually put a dot at the end.
Uh-huh.
Um, and always try to do swirls the opposite direction too, because if you're always doing it the same direction,
Yeah,
it
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 looks like it.
it looks like it. So you
Yeah,
could put a little triangle at the end, and it's hard to actually make your head go the opposite direction sometimes. That's something
it
like
is.
my right twirls are always elongated, not circular.
Yeah, your hand wants to go one way,
Right.
and that's actually really good creative exercise to do it the
Mhm.
opposite way as well
And
because
to
it
do it
makes
with the opposite hand too,
yeah,
because
it takes your brain out of what it normally does and what is comfortable and makes it say, "Oh, we're going the other direction," and it teaches your brain to think more creatively.
I will say I'll do some of my big swipes in my left hand, but I never do the dots with my left hand because those I
No,
want in a specific place and you
not on
just can't.
something like this for
Yeah.
me. It's yeah, when just drawing the abstract, you know,
So that
around,
fescue
yeah.
one that we did, I'm going to show something right here. This is one of my favorite ones, and it starts up. You make an X, and you start at the corner, and you go down as
Oh,
close as you can, and then you do that little fescue thing on the bottom, and then you go to the next corner, and you pull it right above it, and you put the little fescue thing in,
oh, yes.
and then you just
That's a
keep doing that
fun,
until you have no
space.
more
That's a
space.
fun doodle.
Yep.
I love doodles around X's.
And that and it also makes it look like it's sort of 3D because you're filling in the space that
Yes.
would be at the very bottom of the V. And then you go on to the next one, and it makes a really neat design. And actually, if you do the X in pencil and then you do this in
And then erase your
marker,
pencil.
and that well, you don't have to erase it. You should never do it really as a hard line, just a little line,
Mhm.
so you can just sort of
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Um, should Zentangles don't people don't usually erase things on it. But it's
I
just there
I
as a
define an ink
guideline.
and I live with what the result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever I do a Zentangle, I make a square and then I put the Zentangle on the inside of it. And sometimes I do some directional lines with my pencil too, depending on what I'm making, because sometimes I need to do my grid or I need to do.
Yeah, when I start a new notebook, I go through and I put my squares in on a whole bunch of pages so they're ready.
That's cool. Sylvia, that phrase, pay attention, was always lost on me, right, Sylvia? Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that.
And if you're going to do them big, if you use a big fat marker to do them,
Uh-huh.
that helps too. And actually, I like doing mine big. They always have you do them 4x4s or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I actually like doing mine really big because then I can see where I need to make adjustments.
Mhm.
Like, see, this one's pulling to the side, so I know that would have.
Uh-huh.
And also having them in different sizes helps too, because then you learn to change your perception.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna go grab Cheryl's.
Okay.
There's Cheryl's. Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And she did it on white and used blue marker. Let me let you see this close up. She used a blue marker, and then she used like an aqua or a turquoise for the fescue and the dots for the whimsy. That's cool.
Very dramatic. That's great.
Yeah,
And I
very
love
nice.
the middle one. She didn't put the dots in.
Oh, yeah.
That looks really cool like that.
Yeah, with some open space. Ooh. That's cool, Cheryl. Thank you for sharing. Let's see here.
Now I'm going to show the one I just did because I wanted to show that, like,
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I've got a big mistake on it, and I just at the top
Mistake.
here, at the top
Move
here, I
it-
have lines
Move
my
to your left just a little. Your left. There you go.
my valleys and hills were upside down on this top piece.
Oh, I did that too. I forgot
just-
what it's going to connect with each, and they're all hills, or they're all valleys, all four sides.
So I just wanted to show that, just go ahead and keep going.
But no big deal.
Yeah, there we go.
Really, no big deal.
Because I know it's there, but you don't. I just put enough design in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if it doesn't end up looking exactly like Huggins because you didn't do the two hills on one side and the two valleys on the other side, then you can do little
You made up your own.
inside of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do little designs or little centangles inside of each one of them,
Mhm.
or color them, something like that. And yeah, and you did your own thing, and that is totally okay. I'm anxious to finish this one. I'm gonna have to do this one later, but we are at 2:00, and I got orders to pack from Saturday, and definitely want to get ready for Wednesday's sale. Just so you guys know, I have jury duty starting tomorrow. If I don't get chosen for the jury, then we're fine for Wednesday at 5:00. If I happen to get chosen, then we might have to move it to starting at 6:00 Mountain Time, because I don't know exactly what time the court finishes up, and I do have to drive downtown for that. So if they go till 5 or even 4:30, I wouldn't make it back by 5. But I would be home by either 5:30, 5:45, but I'll be all ready to go so that we could go at 6:00. So
What
I'm
type
going
of things are you selling? You don't know yet.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't know yet. I pulled out a bunch of stuff, and I know that it's too much for one sale, but I want to do some completely different things from what we did Saturday, so that each sale has a lot of different types of things. So I'll try to put it in the description box. Like,
we didn't do any books on Saturday.
We did a few, but not very many. We didn't do any old books. Okay, we can do books. We can do some old books and some really, really cool books. Oh boy, we better do those now while I'm willing to part with them. You know me. Better do them now while I'm willing to part with them. Today was a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us for Monday Jumpstart. Great way to get the fall season going. We're not gonna think about the snowstorm that you're gonna have, Glennis.
That's already over quite a bit. It's 6 inches in between now and tomorrow night.
Because that kind of makes it winter, but I'm gonna think that it's still fall, and we're gonna enjoy fall for a little while longer. And Monday Jumpstart's a great way to do it. I love getting the week started with you guys on Monday. A
lot of us have missed it.
I really have missed it terribly. Every Monday thinking, oh, where are my girls? It's hard. Still, would you? Oh, okay. I'm not going to read all those comments because we'll go off on a whole nother tangent.
But Jen said your coffee paper went out in the mail this morning.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Jen. I am so excited. So excited. Sylvia, I got this eraser at Dollar Tree. Seriously. So, I haven't looked for it actually, I was there, a week ago, picking up, I don't remember what I was getting. Oh, I was picking up an order that I had online that came in, and I saw that they did still have this. They didn't have something else I was looking for, but they did have this. So check your Dollar Tree. You might get it there. If everybody, oh, no, never mind. Yeah, there's enough Dollar Trees around that if one doesn't have it, then another
one will.
Yeah.
Or we could all send Sylvia one. Wrapped in
Actually,
rickrack.
those are good to make. You can cut out and make stamps with.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you can carve into these. They're thick
'Cause
enough.
they're nice and thick.
They are firm enough that you can carve stamps out of these. Yeah, but I need it. My big eraser, I need it. So
Cheryl,
I
yours
like
look
my
great.
pencil. Cheryl's looked great. Yes.
Yes.
Jen, I'm glad that you're able to listen while you're working. That's kind of a beauty of working at home, huh? The driver she was looking for from the comments. Yeah. Thumbs up. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. And thank you so much for joining with us today. And if you did any of these or all of them, please do post the pictures in the group. I'll get a picture. I'm going to finish mine up. I'll get a picture and get them in the group. Glennis and DM will do that as well. And we will see you Wednesday. I'm going to create the event for 5 p.m., but I will know tomorrow. I'll know tomorrow if I've been chosen for the jury. So if I have, then I will go in tomorrow and I will change it to 6 p.m. Okay. Otherwise, we'll just stick with 5. So it'll
thumbs up, ladies.
Thank you. Very much appreciate that. And don't forget to come back as soon as we go out. The live comments do not stay. So as soon as we end, come back in, leave a comment with hashtag 1000 subs. And we hit that 17 this week. We'll do the drawing. We'll do the drawing this weekend.
That'd be cool.
Whenever, that would be very cool. Very awesome. Thanks, guys. Have the rest of a great Monday. And we'll see you real soon, like Wednesday. That'll give me just enough time to pull all the old books, Glennis.
DM, Cheryl loves the one you're doing right now.
Oh, thank you. That was just those fescues done on an X. And I do this one a lot. So
yep.
That's a cool one.
I find certain ones that you tend to like more than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ones that you don't have to think about when you just really need to zone.
Yeah.
We've got 2 comments on books.
Old books? Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna go through and pull out books. I've got some new ones that are very, very cool, and I've got some old ones, and I've got some craft ones.
Any more fairy ones?
I don't know. I'm gonna try to pull out some of all 3: the old ones, the new ones, and the craft books.
A great idea.
Yes, beautiful old books. All right, see you guys Wednesday.
Okay,
bye everyone.